All right. All right. All right. I got 48:58. Over 20 minutes. The topic all together. All right. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall with another morning sports bite. Did you see that guy Steph Curry last night light up the Magic? The man had 10 3-pointers, 56 points. And what many people are saying now that Golden State is now a serious contender coming out of the West. And that's partly because they have acquired the services of Jimmy Butler. Well, they won, 7 games now with Butler? 7-1. So his effect has to be somewhat positive. But when I look at the stat sheet, I'm not seeing how he's helping. Curry cannot score 56 points every night to get this team farther along in the playoffs. Sometimes he's going to come back to earth and he's going to score less than his average, which is 20 was going up now. Before last night, he was only averaging like 23 points a game. So you would hope that Butler can take some pressure off Curry by contributing. While Curry scoring his 56 points, Jimmy Butler only had 5 points, man. 5 points and 7 assists. Why do you need to trade for a guy who's only going to give you 5 points? I'm looking for at least 15 from him, but 5? Come on, man, give me a break. I guess all that matters is that you win the game, and they won the game. But what I'm hearing the announcers talking about how much of a improvement the Warriors are with Butler, I don't see it. 5 points a night, he's got to do better than that, or Warriors, they're not going very far at all. All right, Chris Bristol, what's going on, man? What's your vote? I see you think Curry is not. Who you think, Jordan? I think he's a better pure shooter than Jordan. Jordan had that heart, man. He's hard to beat, but I don't see that. I don't see Jordan being a better shooter. So I don't know who else can be a better shooter. Last night, with all those points he scored, he moved over Allen Iverson for 32nd place all time as the all-time field goals in the league. So I don't know. He's going to be hard to beat, man. Yeah, I was disappointed with what Jimmy Butler contributed last night. One guy, maybe he can open it up for Curry, but he's got to score more points to have an effect there. If all you're going to score is 5 points, I'm not worried about you. I'm going to defend that 3-point line and try to slow Curry down. But I just don't see how they're so much better now with Butler if all he's going to give you is 5 points. He's not contributing very much. But I want to keep an eye on that. NFL news, Travis Kelce came out on his podcast show with his brother and said he's coming back for another year. He cannot go out with the sour taste in his mouth from what happened last year. They're also dropping hints that maybe he has some kind of health situation that slowed him down. I'm not buying that. He just got beat, and if they played again the next week, they wouldn't get beat by as much. But Philadelphia was clearly the better team. And the beauty of football is you got one shot. Just like life. If you don't get it right the first time, there's no redos, no restarts, none of that. You just got to pick up where you are and go from there. So we don't hear nothing about no health scares. Take that whipping, get yourself back in shape like you said you're going to do, and come on back for their 13th season. I don't know what he's going to do after they don't win the Super Bowl next year, but it's going to be a tough road for the Chiefs because everybody's waiting on them. Good morning, JC. Now, here's the thing. Speaking of the Chiefs, everybody saying or said that the Chiefs would always get the benefit of the doubt when it came to close calls. The measurements always seem to go in their direction. Well, there have been calls for the NFL to implement a chip and put it in the ball so that it can be electronically measured, especially when they pile up and you can't see it. Because if you notice the trend, if it's clear and there's no debate about where the ball is, then they can easily spot the ball. They do a great job at that. But when it's not clear, when all those bodies are around and they can't see and all of that, it tends to go with whoever made the call in the first place. Well, now, instead of putting the chip in the ball, what they're going to do, they got some kind of virtual measuring system that they're going to use now for tough situations. They're still going to keep the chains on the sideline, but the first downs are not going to be measured virtually by some kind of eye in the sky type system. I don't know how that's going to work, but that's what they're going to do starting next year. And if the Chiefs were getting the benefit of the doubt coming out of the calls in New York, then that's going to go away with this virtual system. But my question is, who's running the virtual system? Is it coming from New York or is it coming from technology at the game? The officials at the stadium determining for sure if it's a first down. Because if it's still controlled by New York, hell, it doesn't matter what kind of system they use. It's whatever New York says. Even though it might be in LA for a game, New York makes all the decisions. JC says, if we say Curry is the best ever, do we forget about Oscar Robertson? Okay, I asked a question about the best shooter. Is he the best pure shooter is what I should have said, not the best overall player in the NBA. I wouldn't hang that on any player because you can't really compare errors. If you take Jordan, the way he was scoring all his points, he came in the paint, he was going to get knocked down in the 60s by Bill Russell and the rest of those guys. You saw how frustrated he was against Detroit. With Detroit, what they call it, the Jordan rules. Every time he comes in the paint, they were going to knock him out. That has an effect on great players. Now, Jordan was tough enough to play, but I think he would thrive even more in this era because he was relentless under all that contact. So you know now with no defense, he would have thrived. But Curry, you stand back there and shoot those 3-pointers, those are killers, man. But the problem is, throughout the history, he ain't always had no 3-point line. So that will reduce his effectiveness. He'd have been like a Pistol Pete, somebody that could just shoot. And yeah, you score, but it's just 2 points. That extra point from that 3-point line makes all the difference in the world. So when I say about the best shooting guard, I'm talking about pure stroke of the basketball shooting. But back to the Chiefs. That first down system probably would have worked against them several times. And I'm certain that quarterback sneak that Buffalo put on them that they reversed, that was a first down. And I don't give a damn who say what. You can't convince me that that was not a first down. It's not that call cost them the game, but it did reverse the momentum of the game. And that gave the Chiefs an opportunity to go in on and win the game like they did. So we'll see how that works out. But the other Chiefs news, I told you a couple of weeks ago that the Chiefs were considering putting a transition tag on that offensive guard, Trent Smith. He was a 6th-round draft choice, so you know he wasn't making a whole lot of money. But now they're trying to keep him and putting a transition tag on him would have boosted his salary up well over $20 million. Well, what they've decided to do instead is buy themselves some time by putting a non-exclusive tag on him, non-exclusive franchise tag, which means he can't negotiate with nobody else, and they have up to a year to finalize a deal with him. Well, if you got a guy that come out of the 6th round and he makes the team, and he's been on an anchor for you during your 2 Super Bowl runs, why won't you just go ahead and sign him to a contract right now? Why you got to wait to put the tag on him? Well, problem is money. they probably felt like they didn't have enough money to give the guy. But now the NFL salary cap is going up to $279 million. Now they got a little extra money. So by putting the transition tag on him, I don't know what he was making before, but he's going to make about $23.5 million now. So that was a remarkable jump for him. And they're going to be negotiating sometime throughout the season. If it was me, I'm trying to negotiate before the season, because if he goes out there and gets hurt under that franchise tag, then he's going to be right back in the same situation he was before he got in the league. It's always to the advantage of the house the more time passes along. They're actually trying to wait and see if you're going to stay healthy or not. And as you see, like with Dak Prescott, sometimes when you jump the gun and you sign a contract, and shortly thereafter they get hurt. So it's like, what do you do if you're a NFL franchise? You don't quite know exactly when to pull the trigger, and that's coming back to bite a lot of those teams. Now, we covered the Chiefs, we covered Curry. Jimmy Butler, I'm concerned about his production. I know he can do better than what he did. Maybe his presence gave the team a spark, but I'm not seeing the production from him, and that's going to have to improve if the Warriors are going to move on. Now, also on the subject of basketball, if you hadn't noticed that Gene Hackman, the great actor, they found him dead in his Santa Fe, New Mexico home along with his wife and two dogs, or a dog. Based on what they're saying, it sounded like to me it was sound like carbon monoxide. She was laying by the heater, and he was in another room somewhere. I'm thinking that because she couldn't get to him, that led to his demise. But I didn't realize Gene was that old. I thought it was about maybe 85, but now Gene is 95. So he lived a great life, did a lot of great things, and it brings to mind some of the movies he was in. I saw several of them. But as far as sports goes, that Hoosiers movie, that was a pretty decent flick. It was based on a true story where you have the small town team go to the big cities, and because back then in Indiana they only had one state champion, so that means I think it was Hickory in the movie. They've 400 people, 300 people going up against big city schools with 2,000-3,000. That's possible in basketball. You can't do that in football, beat the big schools. But if you put together a basketball team, I don't think it makes a difference where you come from, because a lot of times the biggest and the best players come from the smaller towns. So it's very possible that smaller schools can do that. Here in Florida, it's definitely very possible with the way players are moving around now. Who's to say that some small school won't get their operatives to go recruit for them, and all of a sudden you got 6 or 7 blue chip players playing on a school with 400-500 people in it. And I'm talking maybe 6 to 12. This is the way things are operating down here. It's like a free fall, and the association, in my opinion, it doesn't have any teeth to it anymore. And people are just moving around. And like I said before, I know a lot of you guys don't know it, but if you in Florida, you're a senior in high school, you got your home school. My home school football team sucks, but I'm a star player. So I'm going to go play with my rival over here, play football. Then my home school basketball team is not that great either. And the school that I went to play football with, I don't like what their team looks like. So I'm going to go play basketball at another school. Then the spring comes. I'm a track guy. I got speed. I don't want to go for my home school. And the other 2 schools I got, they don't have a good track team. So let me run over here to school D. I run track with them. So if you're keeping track, I play football at this school, basketball at that school, and now third school, I'm going to go run track. And you know what I'm going to do after all that is over? I'm going to come back to my home school and graduate with my buddies, all in the same school year. That's legal in Florida. Now you tell me, what does that make sense? So in a situation like that, where you can bounce around and get all these players to come do those kind of things, then you can make it to a basketball Final Four or a championship with a small team and beat some of the bigger schools. Your likelihood of beating them are not great, but you stand a better chance than what the movie that Hackman portrayed had back then. Um, but I don't know. I don't really follow the basketball as much to know if players move around the way they do in football. But I do know that the private schools are the ones that are likely to come up with a team like that. So if you're looking for a great story for a team to be heroic, then look no further than the private schools down here because they're going to put it together. And now that you can get NIL, private schools have all the connections to get high school players NIL deals. And that's just another shot at the public schools where they're going to take more athletes out to go play in the private schools because they can get NIL deals. It's the same argument that I came up with when I found out that Missouri offered NIL for their high schools, and you can get money through the university if you sign to a Missouri school. So if I'm living in a trailer park and nobody in the family has money, and all of a sudden I got a kid that's making doing good things on the football field or wherever, he's going to get paid for that. Man, I just hit the jackpot. All I got to do is make sure that kid is all right. Well, in essence, the kid becomes the main breadwinner in the family, all because he can play a sport. And that's just the way that things are operating right now in high schools. So, but again, back to Hoosiers, I thought that was a pretty good movie. When I look at that, I just look at the likelihood of what could occur today. But under the old system, the system that should be where you go to your neighborhood school and you compete that way, the likelihood of a small town team doing that today are very remote if it was under the old system. But of course, it's not that way. So, but I was just chewing on that this morning. Curry, great night. He gets inconsistent also, but when he's off, he may score 17, 18 when he's off. I haven't seen him be so far off where you're scoring 25, 26 tonight, and then the next night you come back with 5 or 6. I don't think he's ever done that. But Butler, that's the kind of productivity he's giving right now. He's way off the mark. And in comparison to Curry, Anthony Edwards, when he gets hot, he can put up those 40, 50 numbers. And his consistency is up and down also. Last night he only scored 18. So on an off night, he scores 18. That's still much better production than what you see from a Jimmy Butler, who only gives you 5 points and 7 assists. For somebody that's supposed to be a great effect, those are terrible numbers. So I'm looking to see what kind of production Butler is going to give to help out Curry, because Curry cannot score 50 points every night. And even if he does, you see how they had to struggle against Orlando. Orlando is not a great team this year. OKC and the Lakers are getting better. The Mavericks are going to get stronger. Where's that going to leave Golden State? They're going to try to make a good run with this Curry Butler thing, but I don't think they're going anywhere based on what I'm seeing so far out of Butler. And if that doesn't improve, then Golden State's going to be on the couch with me, watching the playoffs like everybody else. But just disappointing to me. And the Chiefs put the transition tag on, not the transition tag, but the non-exclusive franchise tag on Trent Smith. And they're going to hold him for a year and try to renegotiate a deal. But, those NFL teams get slick because you can franchise a guy twice. So if they don't get a deal this time, they may extend him for another year. But either way, I think Smith would be happy with making $23, $24 million a year. Even though the average this year was like 26 for a offensive lineman. With the new salary cap, that's going to go up to about 30. So I think he's going to get a deal somewhere along that particular line. So he's going to be okay. And he's going to get his offensive tight end back. Kelsey's coming back for another year. He claims he's going to get that sour taste out of his mouth. But I think that taste is going to get worse. He can put as much salt and pepper and hot sauce on it all he wants. But I think the Chiefs, they're going to have to retool. But what I would say the Chiefs need to do, I put a call in to Tyreek Hill. You put Tyreek Hill on one side, you got the emerging Xavier Worthy on the other side. Now the Chiefs are dangerous again, especially with Kelsey down the middle. All you need is a suitable running back, And then the Chiefs, they scoring 35 a game. If they scoring 35 a game with that defense they got, I don't care how many times Philadelphia come off the ball, they ain't gonna beat that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But congratulations to Smith, though. The man, 6th-round draft choice, and work his way up to this position. That's what it's all about. A lot of the 1st-round and 2nd-round draft choices that come in with him, they're not even in the league anymore, which lets you know that college drafting and scouting, all that is an inexact science. Sometimes you just hit the jackpot. Most of the time, you're shooting blanks. And Trent Smith is a great example of that. And the virtual eye in the sky, that thing, that's a great idea, but I think that it would work better if you had chips in the ball. They put chips in everything else, so I'm sure they can put the chip in the ball too. But I think, I really don't think they want to go that far. I think they want to try to leave some human element to it, and that might make it add some excitement to it, especially with the effect of gambling in the situation. But if you make everything where it's all predictable, then that's going to hurt the gambling industry a little bit. All right, Louis Toussaint 99 says hello. Yeah, I hadn't seen you in a while, Louis. I thought you cut me loose. Most of you guys cut me loose. I'm glad to see you back. I only got 2 votes on my my poll question of asking is Curry the best shooting guard ever? I'm not talking about the best player. I'm talking about some guy that can stroke it from behind that arc. TY, so okay, all right, Toussaint, have a good day, man. I put a short out the other day. You know, if you guys remember the hysteria that everybody had about what Luka Doncic was going to do to the Mavericks when he played them the first time, well, they were talking 50 or 60 points. He's just going to show them how much of a mistake you made by getting rid of me. Well, when I hear that hysteria, it reminds me the hysteria that took place with everybody's getting all excited about the Chiefs. They're going to do a three-peat. They didn't never consider the possibility that the Chiefs could lose. Well, the same thing with Doncic. Nobody ever considered that he would get anywhere close to 50. As I say, I like Michael Irvin. I watch his shows when he put them out. He's not very regular right now, but when he does put them out, it makes a lot of sense. I just happened to be listening to him, how he was getting all excited about what Doncic was going to do. He predicted 40, and I just happened to comment on it. I say, man, he won't get no more than 25. He saw that, and his reaction was, sports for real, be for real. Okay, I didn't see it at the time, but I went back later and finished the rest of the show, and I just happened to catch it right before he went off. He saw it. So I cut that part out of the video and made a short out of it yesterday. So that's me with Michael Irvin commenting on my comment about what Doncic was going to do. He told me to be for real because Doncic was going to bust the clock. Well, both of us were wrong. He said 40. I said 25. Doncic got 19. So I do give him credit for shooting me out like that because he didn't have to do that. And in the end, it was complimentary, even though he didn't know what kind of product I was putting out. But I appreciate it for shouting me out like that. And I'm going to keep on listening to his content because he makes a lot of good points, especially about these modern day athletes. Makes a lot of sense to me. So if you want to see that clip, it's a short. Go to the description from yesterday and it'll be on there. And I appreciate Irvin for doing that. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. Last day of the week. I got another baseball game tonight. Getting a little better. Got a lot of work to do. I think I might have found me a pitcher, though. And in high school baseball, just like basketball, if you don't have a point guard, you don't have a pitcher, you can't play. And I think I might have found me one last night. And if I can get this guy to get consistent, that might have me a rotation, and I might have a good shot to make a run to get to the playoffs, as improbable as people think that is. But I'm going to find a way. I'm going to keep turning it over until I win. And you better kick me now, because when I get it going, I'm going to be a problem. And I will tell you, no, I won't say that right now. I'm going to keep that. I don't know if I should do that or not, so I won't say. But I keep you guys posted on that. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys chiming in, looking at me. If you like my style of talk, I try to keep up with all the sports. I watch over 1,000 football games a year. I'm suffering with basketball because, like I say, basketball is just something to do until football comes back around. And we got a long way to go until the real football shows back up. Spring, you can have that. But I watch that sometimes, but it's not something I got to watch. Um, so I keep you guys posted as best I can. And wherever you are in the world, have a great day. I hope you like it. You subscribe, and I'll be back at you on the other side. Until then, have a great day. But I got to go to work, man. Have a great day. I'm out.